So we are currently at our top secret lab right in the heart of downtown Toronto.
I don't think anybody's going to believe that.
Okay, maybe not. And we're discussing last week's Nuit Blanche project, what went right, what went wrong, what we learned from it, and thoughts for next year.
Okay, so we're going to start on the positive note with what we did right, or what we think we did right. The biggest complaints that we noticed on blogs after the fact had to do with wait times and disappointment, and you have a lot to say about this, so I will let you cover that.
One of my complaints is wait time. My default is to assume that it's probably going to disappoint me because it was really awesome. I probably would have heard about it before. So I'm not likely to spend a long period of time waiting for something that I'm not sure about. Another complaint is work that demands a lot of my time or attention. The official media for Nuit Blanche says that it's impossible to see everything in one night, but I see that as a challenge, not a statement of fact. I'm going to try my hardest to see as much as I can, and if one piece demands a large chunk of my time, that's taking away from 5 or 6 other pieces I could be seeing. So I wanted to make something that, even if there was a massive lineup, it would still function, would still be enjoyable, and wait time would be minimized. And I wanted something that didn't demand a lot of people's attention. From 5 seconds, they could go from, huh? To, ah! That's really what I wanted, something that people could get right away.
Being Nuit Blanche participants, we've got to think about flow and the amount of people that are going to be looking at it. We don't want to make people annoyed or steal people's time. We want them to get something out of this immediately.
Yeah.
People could walk through the door, hold up a camera from that vantage point, or use the camera that I had in my hands, and then see everything in the room. If they didn't want to see any more, they could move on without feeling like they've missed out.
Yeah. You could go in, look, you got it. I want to make art that, even if it wasn't me that made it, if I stumbled across it, I still would have enjoyed it. And I think Take a Picture is something that would have blown me away had I not made it and spent so much damn time building the things.
Well, and even the people that were professionals in fields that touched on what we did enjoyed it. That physicist and his wife that came through, the people from the other art collectives. We had a number of people throughout the night that really, really loved the work. The one that stands out in my mind is that bald fellow and his wife that came in, looked at everything, and he was one of the first people to figure out what was going on without having to get our help. And the moment he lifted up his camera, he was smiling, he was going, "Oh, that's awesome!" And if that was the only success we had that night, if we had just reached that guy and the rest of the night we had had people come through just kind of go, eh, and walk away, that would have still made me very happy.
Alright. I'm actually almost the opposite of that. Out of the several thousand people, I wasn't keeping exact track, but a few thousand went through, and everyone seemed pretty impressed. There was one person that didn't seem all that interested, and that one person still frustrates me. I'm just like, damn it, we weren't awesome enough for that one, you know, it's not good enough to satisfy 1,000. I want to satisfy 1,000 and more. So now I guess things that we learned from this experience. I did talk to quite a few people who said they had some difficulty finding our venue, even though it was on one of the fairly main streets. So Brad, my idea that we should have a giant sandwich board, I think that was good advice that we should have listened to.
The side door being opened with the poster on it and the posters in the window, if the posters in the window weren't at, you know, the 9 or 10 foot level, would have been effective.
Yeah.
So, but a sandwich board...
I think a big sandwich board on the corner would have attracted more attention, because it's not just a sign in the window, it's something standing out that would at least be out of the ordinary for people, because you don't normally see a giant sandwich board on a sidewalk corner.
True that.
So I think that's something we should have done, is make it easier for people to find us.
It was suggested that we have a porthole viewer in the center of the room for people that don't have cameras.
Yeah.
And that way, that person or group of people can look themselves and figure it out, and that also leads them to believe that there's something else there
that
is going on. Now my feeling immediately is A, it's going to lead someone to believe that this is trickery, that this isn't legitimate. B, it prevents that opportunity for us, the artists, to go make physical or personal contact with an individual and take them around ourselves. And I had a third item to add to that list.
It takes away from the spontaneous discovery of how it works.
It takes away from the reward of discovery.
Yeah.
So that's something that I'm still not prepared to do, but an interesting thing to table right now anyway. Or at least bring it up as a consideration. We'll credit this to that fellow that came to us from Interaccess Gallery. The next steps for this. Well, this individual explained to us a way of making these images far more complicated, much more detailed, and it's something that I had considered before, but the method that I was going to use was different than this. This is a much more elegant and simple way of doing it.
To put it shortly, our method, although it doesn't give us as much control and detail, it works for 90% of cameras out there. The alternative method gives us far better images, but will only work with 50% of the cameras out there.
Well, that's our suspicion anyway. We don't, in fact, know this is what today is all about.
We chose to go for wide accessibility over slightly better images.
Although, with any luck, with the time that we have to research, we may come up with the same power and detail.
Yeah, it took us 3 years to come up with the last idea. I'm pretty confident we can come up with something better over the next 3 weeks, because that's how much time we have.
The difficult part was in prototyping. The prototyping that we have to do now is not as difficult. It's just applying what we know to a slightly different medium.
Yeah. And although I think even though the technology that we're using for next year's will be very similar to this year's, only much more refined, the overall idea of what we're trying to say and trying to do with it, that will be significantly different. So to people that think we're just reusing the same idea, that would be like accusing a second painter of copying the idea because he used paint, which a previous artist had already done. So it's a completely different subject matter and body of ideas we'll be dealing with. It'll just be using some of the same technology of the first take a picture.